Hey everybody. My hair is straightened tonight, even though there were a couple of ladies, Kelly and Blissful, who were talking about how good my hair looked last night. But now it is all straightened. I got it all straightened for Easter, which, by the way, happy Easter to everybody. I was almost late for the stream because I was working on making a Hey, Blissful. I was working on a face template for Steve to use in the new wrestling game. He's not one that likes to mess with Photoshop very much, and that's usually how people make their face templates. And so he kind of leaves it up to me to work on those. So, well, thank you, Blissful. You say you have sexy curls, you need to flaunt them. Honestly, I don't think there's anything that's sexy about me, actually, but thank you. Um, so I just figure I'm the plain Jane model of women. Kind of what you see is what you get with me. Um, I do occasionally have makeup on. I do have makeup on today, a little bit left over from Easter Sunday. Um, but again, I and I love it that you guys think my curls and frizz and all that stuff is gorgeous and all that. I really appreciate all that. But again, I am not on here to be a fixture to be looked at. I mean, maybe some women do that. I don't know that do streams, but if they do, they're a lot prouder of their looks and their body than I am. So I am on here just to have a good time, talk about some movies, um, do watch alongs and all that jazz. Um, and just mainly, like I said, have a good time because don't we all just with the stress of the week, stress of work, stress of relationships, stress of just day to day life, don't we need a little fun in our life? And so I hope that these streams not only provide me a little fun, but they provide you guys that are in here a little fun as well. Yes, blissful. Happy Easter to everyone. I had a very good Easter, actually. I visited my parents today. My aunt was there. Um, my aunt that I talk about, actually, that was my movie watching buddy, my Aunt Sandy. Um, my brother and sister in law were there, my two nephews. So we had a really good time spending time together. Um, Blizzle, you say I have naturally curly hair. The curl boosting hair products fill up my shower. LOL. um, so let's see. Hey, Texas. I was going to start off this stream tonight with another daily grindhouse, which to kick it off, I will share with you guys about, I know that I had told y'all that we had took Brandon to the vet. I think I told that at the watch along last night for driving massacre. And I think I left it off that we were having some blood tests done. And even though today was Easter, the vet had several sick animals at the veterinarian office. And so he had to go check on them. So he asked if it was okay if he called us today, even though it was Easter, and gave us the results of Brandon's blood test and urinalysis and all that good stuff that they did on him. And we were like, sure, So our vet called while we were at mom and dad's. and they called Steve's number. They didn't call mine. I think they have his number on as like the last point of contact for probably Brandon's dental work that he had done. And so Steve took the call, and then he, kind of motioned me to go in mom and dad's one of one of the rooms in their house where everybody wasn't at. And I thought, it's going to be bad news, considering the fact that he kind of wanted to usher me away from everybody. But basically, the vet said, he didn't see any signs of cancer, I guess, in the blood work. He said there could be a possibility that Brandon could have cancer. But he was not seeing it in the initial blood work. He did say that it looked like Brandon was in the early stages of, I guess, kidney disease, which at his advanced age, I mean, we're kind of, you're never prepared for anything really, but we're kind of expecting those kind of things to crop up. I mean, they crop up in older people, so why shouldn't they crop up in our animals, our pets? So he does have that, but basically the rest of his blood work looked pretty good. So he wants us to keep Brandon on the food that he gave to us yesterday or sold to us. Brandon's still not eating really good. I'm still giving him things like chicken livers and stuff to kind of supplement him. And I'm giving him the panker, which is normally for worms, but our vet said it also kills off any bad bacteria in the digestive system. So we're trying to, fight all of that, get Brandon back to where he needs to be as far as eating. And he does have occasional diarrhea. And so the vet said, if he doesn't start eating real good in a few days, and if he continues to have the diarrhea, to let him know. I don't know what the next step would be other than, if he needs extra nutrients and he's not taking them by mouth. I told Steve that they may want to put him, feed him through his veins or whatever. When people won't eat, generally that's what you do. So he is eating, but he's just not where he needs to be with that eating. So I'm hoping when his tummy feels better that he will eat more. So, we're going to give this panker a go. He also was given a shot yesterday as well. So, we'll just go from there. It wasn't quite as bad as I thought it was going to be, the report. So there's that. And, the other thing was I wanted to show you guys one of the things that I got in today, which is the continuation, the third season of Twin Peaks. This is Twin Peaks, a limited event series that was on Showtime. I don't know for sure how many of you guys watched that. But this is a pretty cool, like, box set. So you slide that and you can see Agent Cooper. You can also see the character he pretty much becomes in this. When he's possessed, he goes by Dougie or whatever it is that he goes by for the majority of it. Actually, my brother and I were talking about this series today at Mom and Dad's, and my brother said, yeah, I liked that series, but the thing I didn't like was that Agent Cooper wasn't really Agent Cooper until the last little bit of the series. And, he's right on that. I think Agent Cooper being Agent Cooper, or Kyle MacLachlan playing Agent Cooper instead of this possessed man for so long, was kind of Agent Cooper was always to me an important part of Twin Peaks. And so to take that away for the majority of the time, I felt like it was detrimental to that season. Well, thank you, Texas. You say I'm so sorry, Dana. Well, all is not lost with Brandon. I'm not going to give up on him. I did tell Steve, I said, we'll just, make him as comfortable as we can, try to get him to eat as much as we can, and take care of him, overall the best that we can. Yes, Blissful, I am too. I am glad that there was no sign of cancer, and thank you. Uh, Texas, you said that is excellent, Dana. I love that season. And yes, when I finish the original like first two seasons of Twin Peaks, I'm gonna do a live stream on the continuation, the third season, the unofficial or official third season, whatever you want to call it, of Twin Peaks. Um, Blissful, you say you didn't see that season. Well, I guess you'll get a treat. I'll try not to give too many big things away. What are you saying, oh baby, about Uncle Bill? Sup, Daner? Sup, Uncle Bill? I'm just here getting ready to do Sunday night trash. I'm gonna cover about 10 more movies. Uh, Recommended is Trashy by Bleeding Skull. Um, yeah, Blissful, you say Texas said we could watch it on Showtime. Yeah, I'd say give it a go. It is not. It's not a bad season. And I will say this. I will say that I think David Lynch. I mean, if after 25 years or so, if somebody could make a continuation as good as David Lynch did with Twin Peaks, I say go for it because it's almost as if he had this planned. And by that, I mean the scene in the original Twin Peaks couple of seasons when Agent Cooper early on has the dream where the little guy's moving real strangely, and it was basically they um filmed things in reverse or whatever and then ran it forward. And when they did that, it gave that little quirkiness to the way he walked and the way he spoke and all of that. And also, there was a very beautiful blonde who looks exactly like Laura Palmer in this dream. And the little man says, doesn't my cousin look exactly like Laura Palmer? And Agent Cooper's like, it is Laura Palmer, and the little man also tells him that gum you like will come back in style. And there's something that Laura Palmer whispers in his ear. And also the little guy says, sometimes her arms bend back. So a lot of clues there in that dream, but everything will come to fruition in the third season. So, but so you say I found the best Twin Peaks T-shirt at a lawn sale. A woman was selling all the things she had gotten from fandom subscription boxes. Oh man, I actually have a Twin Peaks shirt. I don't know where it is at the moment, but I never was really able to find the exact one that I wanted. I'm considering getting another one if I can find it on Amazon again. It says I'd rather be watching Twin Peaks or something to that effect. Now, the other two movies that I got, Steve will probably kill me when he finds out because he'll say, Dana, those are not good movies and I already have those. But that is Killer Workout, put out by Slasher Video on Blu-ray, and Death Ball on Blu-ray, which was put out by Gorgon Video or MPI Home Video, whichever one you want to say, put that one out. So, I think we'll go ahead and get started with these next 10 movies recommended by Bleeding Skull as trashy movies. Now, again, some of you may disagree with me on these ones that were listed here as trashy movies. Now, this is going to finish up the ones I have actually seen at one time or another. But then I am going to have to go back and oh goodness, so sorry. Go back and watch the ones that I have not seen, or maybe rewatch some of them to refresh myself. But the first one is one that I guess I don't know if over time this one had achieved cult status before. I hadn't heard about it. It goes under the title of Don't Panic. That's the English title. This is Steve's copy that he got from Vinegar Syndrome. Dimensiones Occultas. I believe this is a Mexican horror film. Uncle Bill, you say Death Ball is amazing, and you've got that Blu-ray. Do you have a Killer Workout as well, Uncle Bill? So, Bliss, we say motivational movies to get in shape for summer. There you go. So, what, if for those of you that have not heard of Don't Panic, as you can see, this is a grown guy and he wears dinosaur pajamas, just like a little kid. And of course, it has stuff to do with Ouija boards. And this is kind of a Nightmare on Elm Street kind of ripoff movie. And Steve actually got the dinosaur pajamas that Vinegar Syndrome was offering up for sale at the time that they put this movie out. And actually, Steve and I both posed in the dinosaur pajamas. And a Dead Pit had a drunken, was it a drunken commentary? It was either a drunken commentary or a regular commentary. I can't remember at this point. For this movie, and Steve actually got a blonde curly wig so he would kind of look like this kid on there, and he had the dinosaur pajamas. And this is at one of the Fright Night film festivals. Uncle Bill, you say you don't think you have a Killer Workout. Texas, you say, I love Don't Panic. I missed out on the slip, but it's by the same guy that did Edge of the Axe, I believe. You may be right here, Texas. Directed by Ruben Galindo Jr. Now, he did both Cemetery of Terror and he did Grave Robbers. But it may have been a different guy that did Edge of the Axe, but don't hold me to that. So what is this wondrous movie about? So here's what Bleeding Skull had to say about this movie. This is the greatest movie you've never seen about a 30-year-old teenager who wears dinosaur pajamas while battling a satanic demon named Virgil. And I am not kidding about any of this stuff. Don't Panic is one of dozens of Mexican horror movies from the late 1980s that transformed familiar American tropes into beautiful abstractions from reality. Using A Nightmare on Elm Street and Saved by the Bell as jumping off points, this movie ignores its own defects, and that only helps to fuel its dinosaur jammies and unibrow fueled power. Hey, Dirk. You say, hey, Dana, I just finished watching Lynch's Dune in 4K. How did it look, Dirk? Did it look really good? So let's not only give you that, but let's give you a little bit of this plot synopsis from the back. It's Michael's 17th birthday, and his friends have decided to surprise him with the ultimate birthday bash, breaking into his house and playing with a Ouija board. What a birthday present! But what they think is just a harmless bit of fun quickly turns into a supernatural terror when they unwittingly summon a demonic presence named Virgil. I told you I wasn't kidding. Who proceeds to possess someone close to Michael, forcing them to savagely kill anyone and everyone Michael cares about. All the while, Michael begins to have terrifying dreams, which he slowly begins to realize might be visions of the carnage that only he can stop. A bonkers tribute to Nightmare on Elm Street from the reigning king of gory Mexican horror, Ruben Galindo Jr. Don't Panic has gained a long overdue cult fan base in recent years and is guaranteed to leave viewers both awestruck and dumbfounded from its surreal opening through its action packed finale, starring American ex Pat John Michael Bischoff, who also performs the film's memorable theme song. And loaded with all the crazy kills you could hope for, Vinegar Syndrome is delighted to present the worldwide Blu-ray debut of Don't Panic, newly restored in 4K from its 35mm original negative and featured both its English and Spanish audio tracks. Oh, Darren, I'm glad to see you in here actually, and I echo Texas. Glad you're feeling better or feeling good enough to come in here. Darren, you say, hey guys, I did catch a bit of your show last night and thanks for the well wishes, feeling a little better. Dirk, you say it's awesome. So, would I recommend Don't Panic? Well, heck, of course I would, because this movie is right up my alley. It is crazy. It is outrageous. It has, as they say, a 30-year-old in dinosaur pajamas, a 30-year-old teenager in dinosaur pajamas. Yeah. Um, the birthday present again is breaking into his home and kind of forcing him to play with a Ouija board. Yeah, heck yeah. This movie essentially has it all. This movie came out in 1988, so this was a late entry into I don't know if you'd really call it a slasher movie, more like a supernatural type of horror movie. But again, it was a late entry coming in the year 1988. So that is Don't Panic. Would recommend this one. But again, if you don't already own it, try to find a for free version or borrow it from a friend or whatever. Just don't go out and spend your hard-earned money on it until you determine that it's going to be something you're going to watch more than once. Now, I forgot to say this earlier. I know that Curly Jaws is doing a watch along or commentary or whatever you want to call it for Evil Bong tonight. And he asked me to be a co-host, and I said, "Well, man, I'd love to, but I'm planning on doing this Sunday night trash tonight." So, with that being said, if some of you need to hop on over to what old Curly Jaws is doing with the Evil Bong commentary, it will not hurt my feelings. I think not only that, but Dead Pit has something going on a little later, probably around 10 o'clock. Um, and Also on that note, I did ask Uncle Bill if he wanted to be on the Twin Peaks stream tomorrow night, which will be the second of three initial streams for the first two seasons of Twin Peaks, and then of course I will start a second one on this. Oh boy, on this season. Yeah, that's right. Hey, Uncle Bill, why didn't y'all invite me to come on that Slaughter High watch along or fan commentary? I would have loved that. Um, but that's okay. I mean, I was like, I didn't even know they were having a fan commentary for Slaughter High. Hey, that's not nice. Cause I'm a dick. Well, since you put the LOL after, I'll let it slide. Um, sorry guys. I wasn't crying or anything. Um, Uncle B said, "Come on, Dana, you know we don't care. You're welcome on there." Well, I generally don't make it a habit to come on streams or try to force myself on streams where I haven't been invited. And considering that CK didn't invite me, maybe he thought I'd be too busy doing something of my own or something like that. But you said that's at 10 o'clock. I may, depending on how things are going around here, uh, see if I can get in on that. At least watch it, even if I don't get to come on there. Turkey say 10 o'clock, Dana. So that means I need to get my button gear and get these over with. Okay. So the next one, I can't really remember how Uncle Bill feels about it, but I think CK likes "Don't Go in the Woods" or "Don't Go in the Woods Alone," whatever way you want to call it or describe it. This one is always a fun one for me. Yeah, does it have super annoying people in it, like young people wise? Yeah, it does. Doesn't it has some goofy characters, but yeah, but it's fun. So let's see again what Bleeding Skull says about this movie. Approximately 300,000 slashers were released in the 1980s. All of them are worth your time, but there's only one: Don't Go in the Woods. When a large, hairy psychopath with beads on his face, and literally he does have beads on his face, slaughters a group of campers, the local fat sheriff, and I always get on Steve about calling people fat, but overweight cops seem to be a thing in the 80s. And if you doubt this, watch a lot of those 80s slashers. The local fat sheriff arrives to investigate. What follows is a maniacal amalgamation of gross out gore, surreal sight gags, and an overpowering sense of sinister doom. Peerless, ferocious, and intentionally hilarious. This is the unrelenting assault that put outlaw filmmaker James Bryan, who also did Lady Street Fighter and Jungle Trap, on the map. Uh, Dirk says, "I love the one, just don't." It's funny, that one was supposed to be serious. But that's what you say. I've seen a lot of guys with beads in their beards in Woodstock. Yeah, this guy though actually has the beads on his face. It's kind of weird. Um, so a little of an expansion on the plot synopsis. In director James Bryan's 1981 cult classic, a group of obnoxious campers venture into the wilderness for what they assume will be a fun-filled weekend. Don't they always? Unknown to them, a bloodthirsty maniac is hiding in the woods, watching their every move and violently killing them one by one every chance he gets. But with lo-fi gore effects and black humor, Don't Go in the Woods remains one of the quintessential regional slasher films of the early 80s and is coming to Blu-ray for the very first time, newly restored in 2K from the 35 millimeter interpositive and loaded with extras. This one was also put out by Vinegar Syndrome. It says, warning, this motion picture depicts scenes of graphic violence. Now, that was a staple on a lot of slasher films that are pretty much considered like cult classics now. That they had some kind of warning that there was a lot of blood, there was a lot of gore, there was a lot of graphic violence, whatever. And that was almost a sure bet that everybody, that was interested in these types of films was going to rent it because of that warning, or in spite of that warning, or however you want to describe it. Yes, Dirk, that is exactly right. Don't Go in the Woods is a video nasty, one of the 39 prosecuted. Yeah. And, and it's one that, again, I'm like, why? Why would you do that? And I'm sure Darren has thought the same thing, being in the UK like he is, about a lot of these, if not all of them. Okay. So I want to go through these kind of quickly so I'm not keeping you guys too awfully long. So the next one is probably one that a lot of you have seen. And no, it is not the second one, but it is the original Silent Night, Deadly Night. I think we may have talked about the second one already. So, but this is the original one. Silent Night, Deadly Night is the most anti-holiday statement since the Christmas morning tussle and John Waters' Female Trouble. With its high production values, cheap gore effects, and staggering lack of taste, this movie is a landmark in exploitation cinema, especially if you are or ever were 12 years old. The film really shines when it loses all footholds on reality and relies on jaw-dropping jolts. A priest shot dead in front of a dozen kids while he's dressed as Santa to keep the fix going. The goals are clear: ruffle as many feathers as possible, exorcise some religious demons, and deliver a fast-paced slasher feel with loads of sex and bloodshed. Naughty. And if you don't know what that additional naughty means, then you need to see Silent Night, Deadly Night. Okay. What other movie has somebody dressed like Santa Claus with an axe with the tagline, he knows when you've been naughty? So Steve Barton of Dread Central said, what we have here is an uber sleazy, guilty pleasure that is aired in my household at least once every December. For me, it's right up there with the Grinch Who Stole Christmas cartoon. So a little bit more about this movie. Community leaders tried to stop the release. The PTA fought to ban it. And if you doubt that, check out the Stalking of Outrage and the special features. And that will give you a little bit more on the controversy. Now, one of the most controversial slasher films of all time is back in a new high-definition release. This new edition of the horror holiday favorite has been restored from the original vaulted film negative. And yes, it looks a whole heck of a lot better than some of the previous releases where they tried to go back and put the unrated footage back in, or the footage that was cut back in. A Silent Night, Deadly Night is the heartwarming story of little Billy Chapman, who was traumatized by his parents' Christmas Eve murder, then brutalized by sadistic orphanage nuns. But when grown up Billy is to dress as Jolly St. Nick, he goes on a Yuletide rampage to punish the naughty. Santa Claus is coming to town, and this time he's got an axe. Robert Brian Wilson and Scream Queen Linnea Quigley, and yes, this does have Linnea Quigley, star in this jaw-dropping horror classic that a nation of angry mothers still cannot stop. And there may be some of you in here that are old enough to remember the original outrage and protesting surrounding Silent Night, Deadly Night. I was innocent of all that. But I do remember renting this one. This was actually pulled out of the TriStar Pictures, pulled it out of theaters because of the protesting and the intense outrage that was pointed at in connection with this movie. Texas, you say don't go in the woods is fun. I agree. Blissful, you say I must have been living under a rock. Dirk, you say, yeah, it is, Tex. It don't make sense. Darren says, yes, it's crazy that was on the list. And yes, it's so unintentionally hilarious. Darren, you say, it's great. I agree. Well, thank you, Texas. You say you picked some great ones tonight, Dana. I was just literally picking the next 10 that I have seen off of the Bleeding Skull list. But thank you, though. Blissful, you say I worked on protesting the censorship of music. There you go. That's a good cause. That's always a good cause. Because not only you have horror movies and comic books and all of that business and video games too, been under attack for years, but music has as well. Even back in the days of Elvis Presley, they protested rock music. So let's get to the next one. This is, again, Steve's copy. I think I got this one for him. And this is Burial Ground. Now, guys, if you have not seen Burial Ground, I urge you not to go out and buy it, but to find a copy of this freaking movie to watch. Okay? Because I'll give you one name. Peter Bark. Peter Bark is I will say it, he's the sole purpose for watching this movie. Okay? It's not the zombies. It's not the all the sex and nudity that's going on in this. Although you guys can probably enjoy that, and everybody enjoys zombies, right? Or I would think that most of you that are in here would. Texas said, I did as well, baby. Fuck the PMRC. Darren says, I urge you to blind buy Burial Ground. You don't know this one, Texas? Oh, man. I urge you to try to find a for free copy of this, Texas. I would love, 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 love to hear your thoughts on this after watching it. Because Peter Bark, before I get into the real big plot synopsis for this movie, Peter Bark's character is a grown man, obviously, but he's, he doesn't look as young as he's playing, but he does look younger than he is. And he looks so bizarre in this movie. And the fact that he's supposed to be playing a young child. He's playing, I think, is it Mary Angela Giordane? Is that his mother on here? I may be I may be missing that. Um, but I I think he plays her son in the movie, and he's always going, "Mommy, I'm scared, Mommy," and carrying on, and it's just so bizarre. But then there's also this incestuous relationship going on where she almost lets him like feel her up and stuff like that, and he's always kissing on her, and it's kind of gross but bizarre at the same time. And it's one of those movies that you really can't, you know, you really shouldn't be watching this, but you can't pull your eyes away, sort of thing. Um, and that's exactly the way I feel every time I watch Barrel Ground. And I don't want to give, the ending away. I just kind of want to leave that open ended for those of you that have not seen it. Um, yeah, I agree with Darren. Darren says you got to see it, Tex. It's an experience for sure. And Texas says he'll check it out. So let me give you the rundown on what Bleeding Soul said about this movie. Okay, and I don't know if you guys can see that very well. I think the glare is probably too much from my light, but there's Peter Park in one of the scenes. Um, so imagine a pizza and a plate of spaghetti bolognese had a love child with serious mommy issues and a taste for human flesh. What you get is Burial Ground, which is quite possibly the most Italian beast ever committed to celluloid. It's ripe with gratuitous violence, even more gratuitous nudity, stunning makeup effects, lumbering zombies, and severe nipple trauma. Okay, I'm going to leave that right there. Um, all against the picture perfect background of a cursed villa. The Italian cinematic universe has given us masterpieces by Fulci, Argento, and Bava, but only Bianchi has given us Michael, a grown ass man, I'm not kidding, playing a 9-year-old boy who just wants to suckle his mom's teeth. Burial Ground manages to out Italian the Italians. Not an easy feat given that the undead are a well worn territory. You'll never see breasts the same way again. Molto Italiano. Okay. So I'm not going to, go deep into the stuff with to do with breast. I'll just leave it to you guys to watch it and figure it out. Um, For his only foray into the zombie genre, psychosexual sleaze maestro Andrea Bianchi, who did Malabima, the Malicious Whore, that is an actual title, unleashes enough flesh-ripping, gut-chomping, and depraved Oedipal mayhem to set insane new standards in Italian horror. Mary Angelina Giordano of Satan's Baby Doll and Malabimba fame stars in the splatter classic about a cursed country estate besieged by horny house guests, undead Etruscans, and the unusual relationship between a mother and her mega creepy young son, disturbingly portrayed by diminutive adult actor Peter Bart, that will trigger perhaps the most jaw-dropping scenes in grindhouse history. Seven Films is improbably proud to present a definitive version of the Gorehound sex fiend favorite, now packed with all new extras and featuring a 2K scan and restoration from an immaculate film element recently discovered beneath the floorboards of a Trastevere church rectory. Okay. Yeah, Barrel Ground. Yeah. If you want an experience some weekend, hunt up Burial Ground. Yeah, just you might want to be careful who you watch it with, though. Yeah, Darren, you are right. You say everyone in Burial Ground seems to be getting it on, even the kid. A Dirk says shit's hilarious. Darren, you say it's best described as softcore porn mixed with Italian zombies. This is so much fun. And And I actually discovered this movie long before me and Steve were a couple. That I knew anything about Dead Pit. So this is definitely one that I discovered on my own. And then it was just so funny when I got with Steve and figured out that a lot of these movies that I had saw prior to meeting him, or meeting the Dead Pit Boys, or meeting any of the people that I converse with now. And believe it or not, this was one of the movies that me and my mom, well, she tried to watch it and fell asleep. But I really wanted to introduce my mom to this Burial Ground movie because I wanted to know what she thought of the entire movie, but also the ending. Um, but uh, my dad, this is a time period when my dad was working a night shift, and he didn't get home until about 11:30 or so at night. So me and my mom would watch movies at night, but generally, 8 or 9 times out of 10, she would go to sleep. Uh, as was the case this night when was like, "Hey, mom, I want you to see this movie. You got to see this movie called Burial Ground." And so she sat down to watch it, and then fell asleep. And then that spectacular ending happened, and she woke up and she's like, "What happened?" I'm like, "Oh my God." you know, she missed it. She missed the one thing that would have sparked some conversation for sure that night. Okay, so that brings us to things which I haven't seen for a little while, so I may be a little fuzzy on it, and I also don't have a copy of it, a physical copy to show. But this is the Andrew Jordan Things from 1989. Things is the best drug that I've ever taken. Somewhere in Canada, three friends arrive at a house in the woods to watch TV and drink beer. Little do they know that they've stepped into a black hole to another dimension, one that's dripping with giant mutant bugs, gore-soaked chainsaw battles, and violence against all forms of logic. While watching this non sequitur collage from anti-reality, your central nervous system will be consumed by every emotion that's essential to being alive: excitement, hilarity, outrage, fascination, confusion, repulsion, and exhilaration. So, again, what's not to like with something that is described that way? And I definitely see myself going back and watching this one again soon. Okay, which brings us to the next one on the list, which is Frank Henenlotter's classic Basket Case. I love this one. This is a movie that I showed to my parents one time, and when it was over, my dad said, "Dana, that is the stupidest movie I have ever seen in my life." And my mom, I think, kind of liked it. Okay. So Frank Henenlotter is a national treasure, and it's all thanks to the gutter trash symphony known as Basket Case. Steadily filmed in the toilet bowls of Times Square and chock full of demented fury, Henenlotter's debut is a celebration of real-life New York sleazers, stop-motion shocks, and the beautifully grotesque puppet monstrosity known only as Belial. Basket Case is disgusting, hilarious, and over-the-top in every possible way, kind of like if Herschel Gordon Lewis directed freaks on the set of Taxi Driver. I want to adopt Belial. I think I would want to adopt Belial too. And I actually have considered the last few years and haven't done it yet. Maybe this year for Halloween, of being Dwayne, the normal looking brother in this movie, and having a basket. And if I could get a Belial looking creature to put in the basket, I would be happy to be Dwayne for Halloween. Um, Texas says things is garbage. Well, I'm talking about trashy films, so. Texas said Basket Case rules. Yes, basket case does essentially rule Texas. I do agree with that. And too, I met Frank Henenlotter several years ago at a Cinema Wasteland convention that Steve and I went to, and he was really, really nice. And a New Yorker through and through, but he was very nice. And I bought a Blu-ray copy of Basket Case from him, not this one because I don't think this one was out yet, but the older copy, and he signed it for me for free, I believe, after I paid for the Blu-ray. Which, oh goodness, I can probably show y'all the signed copy. That's why I keep this one around, even though I've got this Arrow version, which looks a lot better. But this is the Something Weird video version, and you can see that Frank Henenlotter has signed it on both sides. It says, "To Dana from your friends at Hotel Broslin." And there you can see Frank Henenlotter's signature right there. So, a little bit more about Basket Case. The featured debut of director Frank Henenlotter, who also did Brain Damage and Frankenhooker, can't even talk, Frankenhooker, and also more recently than those, Bad Biology. 1982's Basket Case is a riotous and blood-spattered midnight movie experience now immortalized in a lavish new 4K restoration by the Museum of Modern Art. And that is not a lie. Dwayne Bradley seems like a pretty ordinary guy. His formerly conjoined twin, Bilal, on the other hand, is a deformed creature who lives in a wicker basket. And that is the big thing that goes on throughout this film, that everybody that sees Dwayne with this big basket that he carries around all the time, a big thing is what's in the basket. People ask him, sometimes he says clothes, and um, he takes it everywhere with him, including to the movie theater, and a guy steals it and goes into the bathroom. I guess he's, thinking it's going to have money or something that he can sell and get some money. And what does he find? He finds Bilal in there. And Bilal messes this guy up, basically. Texas, you say, I showed my mom the scene where the guy gets split in half and my mom freaked out. What in the hell is this? And why did you show me that? I mean, my mom, like, she would ask me, why did you pick this movie to watch, Dana? But yeah, sometimes our parents do have those very excitable expressions whenever we, or reactions or whatever you want to call it when we show them movies like this, because some of our parents weren't used to that kind of stuff. I mean, even if they were watching movies back in the 50s and 60s, perhaps they weren't introduced to anything like Herschel Gordon Lewis's Blood Feast or anything like that. So they just had no idea that there were these kind of movies that existed. I mean, Mom wouldn't have never seen Basket Case if I hadn't showed it to her, I'm sure. Dirk, you say Things is a pretty hard watch, almost as bad as Terror on Tour. But see, Dirk, I love Terror on Tour. But Basket Cases go like all three, though. Yeah. Um, Darren, you said Basket Cases are right. Love it. Not so much the sequels though. They're fun though, I guess. Yeah, I'm kind of like that about the sequels as well, Darren. Dirk, you say Bill Murray's a huge fan of Basket Case. He was working the same place and had to see the daily reels. Yeah, I think I had heard that story about Bill Murray, which I think is so cool. Blissful, you say, Dirk, really? I love the trivia that goes with movies. Yeah, And I'm glad that there are people that are in the chat that can remind me of some of this trivia because sometimes I forget. Uh, Terrence says, Dirk, I've heard of things is awful too. Um, which, sometimes when somebody says something is awful, just like when people told me Skinamarink was a piece of shit, that just made me want to watch it all the more. So, even though I believe that I've seen things, but it's been a while, that just reinforces the idea that I have to go back and watch it again. Um, so moving on to the next one is the great Juan Piquer Simone classic. And you know what I'm talking about, Pieces. It's exactly what you think it is, right? Um, and this is the Arrow release, and I also have um, the box that looks like the actual puzzle box in the movie with a little mini version of the puzzle, not like the one I got from Messed Up Puzzles that I still haven't put together yet, but still, this was a cool set, and I also got the vinyl for it as well. So let's see what Bleeding Skull says about this. Lucio Fulci and Doris Wishman were multidimensional prodigies who made the world safe for bad taste, but even they can't claim responsibility for Pieces, the ultimate in limb slicing, chainsaw rending, pants pissing lunacy. This movie is like the Justice League of Degenerates making a scumbag variation on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre in Spain. But with more Giorgio Moroder ripoff songs, intestine withdrawals, and the single greatest twist ending of any movie on this list, the next over the top step after Sleepaway Camp and Nightmares in the Damaged Brain, Pieces is the feel bad college campus slasher of the 20th century. Man, yes, that is the perfect way to describe this movie. Okay. So for a little extra on this movie, you don't have to go to Texas for a chainsaw massacre. From Juan Piquer Simone, director of the equally unhinged Slugs, comes Pieces, the original sickening slasher classic, now restored in gut-wrenching 4K. A Boston college campus is being terrorized by a black-clad maniac collecting body parts for his twisted human jigsaw. As the corpses and red herrings begin to pile up, can the murderer be unmasked before his ghoulish puzzle is complete? Boasting some of the most outrageous gore set pieces ever to splash their way across the screen, including a particularly memorable slow motion evisceration on a waterbed. But my favorite kill in the movie has got to be the girl sliced in half in the locker room. And guys, as much as I love animals, the reason why this effect looks so realistic was that a pig from the slaughterhouse was actually what was cut into. The pig was not alive, guys, but just keep in mind that those of you sensitive to harm coming to animals, which I am, and if I think too much about it, it does bother me. But at least the guys making the movie did not kill the poor pig. It was already killed prior to that and was hanging in some kind of slaughterhouse. So they got the pig from the slaughterhouse and cut a dead pig in half. And that is how the effect of the girl being sliced in half by the chainsaw was achieved. Let's see. Pieces an essential slice of Spanish splatter and more gruesome than ever on Blu-ray. Dirk, said, come on, Dana, things is rough. LOL. I tell you what, Dirk, let me go back and rewatch it, refresh my memory, and I'll get back to you on that, okay? Blizzard, you say, Dana, same, and I'll never be unable to unsee Xanadu. Dirk, you say, yes, at Blissful, love digging into these films. Blissful, you say, Dirk, I'm a trivia fan. It's fun to learn new things. I agree with Darren all the way. Pieces is amazing. One of my all time favorites. I own every release and even the one sheet. It's gold in every way. I was thinking I had the one sheet too, Darren. Dirk, right. Pieces. Now we're talking. You bastard. And Darren's got the full version. Bastard, bastard, bastard. I cannot do it like Linda Day George, but remember when I did that watch along for it, we all got to appreciate Linda Day George screaming bastard over and over again. Yes, Dirk does know his stuff, and also TJ is very good at if he doesn't already know the trivia, he's also good at digging it up. Dirk, you say, I just got done eating some yard bird and some pig steak. Blissful, you say, Darren, sounds like my last relationship before Texas. That means it wasn't very good. Texas, you say, the first time I watched Pieces, I thought it was a piece of shit, pun intended. But after rewatching it a couple of decades later, I think it's fucking great. Now, I don't think I truly appreciated the genius of Pieces and the genius of Juan Pierre Simone until I was much older, because I saw the first time I saw Pieces was in my video rental days, and I appreciated it as like this cheesy fun horror movie that was extra gory and all that. But it took until probably I was in my 20s or later to really appreciate this film as a, and dare I say it, horror classic. Okay, so moving right along is Sleepaway Camp. Okay, this was a movie that I watched the sequels before I watched the original. And as you can see, my copy is signed by I can't even talk, both Felissa Rose and Catherine Comey, or Kathy Comey, who played Meg, Meg. Felissa Rose is, as I always say, a major sweetheart. You should definitely go up and meet her at a convention if you've never met her and you see her. Kathy Comey is also awesome. I have pictures with both of them. Really enjoyed meeting them. It was a lot of fun, and I was able to get both of them to sign my Blu-ray, which means I'm not going to get rid of this Blu-ray, or at least not get rid of the slipcover. Okay, so films like Madman, The Burning, Twisted Nightmare, and the entire Friday the 13th franchise have taught us that the 80s was a particularly heinous time to go to camp. Yes, it was. But no other film has combined cinematic gore, a snot-nosed butthole named Judy, and death by boiling water with the darker themes of bullying, child molestation, and transphobia. Sleepaway Camp remains exploitively shocking and a raucous good time, with a final scene that still has people reeling over 30 years later. This is a film that has not only stood the test of time, but has also slaughtered it with a glimmering blade in a cabin shower. Okay. A little bit of an expansion on the plot synopsis. After a terrible boating accident killed her family, shy Angela Baker, Felissa Rose, went to live with her eccentric Aunt Martha and her cousin Ricky. This summer, Martha decides to send them both to Camp Arawak, a place to enjoy the great outdoors. Shortly after their arrival, a series of bizarre and violent accidents begin to claim the lives of various campers. Has a dark secret returned from the camp's past, or will all unspeakable horror end the summer season for all? From its grisly makeup effects to the truly shocking and unforgettable climax, Sleepaway Camp is no ordinary slasher film. It's a cult classic. I agree with all of it. And the gory set pieces, the gory kills in this. Okay. So, you have a guy that's drowned early on, and the next morning they find him, and a snake literally crawls out of the guy's mouth. You have a girl literally violated with a hot curling iron, and I kid you not, this does happen. You do have some decapitations, a guy who's killed by bees. Um, let's see. A group of young kids or boys that are hatcheted to death, as is explained in part two when they're telling the story of Angela. Um, so you have a lot of this stuff going on in the movie, including more traditional slasher fare, including a girl getting stabbed in the shower. Sleepaway Camp is a lot of fun. Again, I would encourage you to, if you don't already own a copy and you've never seen this, please try to get a for free copy so you can enjoy the classic camp slasher Sleepaway Camp. Yeah, I could go on and on about it, but why? You know, plus the fact that you have a guy that gets boiled, and you essentially gets boiled in some very hot water. And for the time period that this came out, and watching the special effects and how the special effects were played out, and you could see, I know all this stuff was done with bladders and latex and stuff like that, but man, I think for this time period of 1983, this was done so great that when I first saw it, I was like, man, now these are the special effects that give horror fans wet dreams, really. I mean, seriously, this is the kind of stuff that really gets our juices going in that department. Okay. So if you have not seen Sleepaway Camp, I urge you to try to find a for free copy and watch it. Introduce it to your significant other. I don't think you're going to get in Dutch, especially if they're a horror fan just like you. All right, Texas, you said Blissful and I are going to watch Sleepaway Camp tonight. Durkee said, I saw the first one on HBO late at night and my jaw hit the floor with that ending. I think my jaw hit the floor too, Dirk, when I saw the ending. Darren, you say Pieces is inept on every level, but it works so well as a comedy. The director claimed he was making a spoof, which was bullshit. I've heard it was meant to be a serious slasher. Dirk, you say, I've heard people consider Pieces a giallo. I'm like, what the fuck? I don't know if I would go that far. Pieces just for me is a fun, um, outrageous time waster. Okay, that I just continue to keep going back to over and over again. Danny says Sleepaway Camp is a bang average film with a great ending. I much prefer 2 and 3. And I hear a lot of people see that or say that, Darren. Did you watch them out of order like I did? Because I saw the second and third one before I even came across the first one. And my Aunt Sandy was the one that told me about the original one. And I was like, man, I've got to go back and watch this. So I kind of consider these to be separate from each other. And I think that's why I like the first one as well as I do. Because the second and third one were made by Michael A. Simpson. So I consider that his take on Angela and his take on Sleepaway Camp. And then Robert Hiltzick's version, the original Sleepaway Camp, kind of stands on its own terms with me. But that's only how I rationalize it in my mind. I think it's great, or Blissful, that Texas is teaching you horror 101. Dirk, you say, it wasn't with my young ass, Darren. LOL. Darren, you say, I'm lucky enough to have the Scream Factory release. They're going for big money online. Yes, they are. They certainly are, Darren. Um, Darren, you say, yeah, I saw 2 and 3 first. Dirk, you say, I was probably 7 when I saw Sleepaway Camp. Man, oh man, Dirk. I tell you what, you were a youngin' when you saw a lot of these big, heavy hitters. Okay, so moving on to the next to last one. And this is a double featured DVD that I've had for a long time. Now, the word is that Terror at 10 Killer, which is not the one I'm going to talk about tonight, but I'm going to talk about the last Slumber Party, which is the second one on here. But the word is that Terror at 10 Killer is going to be a Blu-ray at some point in time. So, but I want to talk about the last Slumber Party tonight. And this is actually one, and Terror at 10 Killer was another that Mystery Science, Riff Tracks actually did commentaries for, which for some people might be the best way to watch both of these films. Because are they good? No, they're not. But are they fun to watch? Yeah, in my opinion, they both are. And Steve and I did, I want to say we ended up doing commentaries for both the last Slumber Party and Terror 10 Killer. But let's talk about the last Slumber Party. The last Slumber Party is a gift of life, one that's wrapped in exquisite non-professionalism, inexplicable madness, and a song called Just a Nightmare by Skid Row Metalhead's First Strike. Made in 3 days for no money in Louisiana by the unfortunately named Steven Tyler. Watching this slasher is like making an agreement with your body to forever reject anything that is not this slasher. And then there is Chris, played with mucho gusto by Jan Jensen. Chris is the foul-mouthed, sex-crazed final girl whose actions will forever leave an imprint of happiness on our collective souls. Okay, a little bit more about the last Slumber Party, where the girls are dying for a good time. A scalpel-wielding wacko invites you to a party where the girls are dying for a good time. Features a heavy metal rock soundtrack by First Strike. This movie came out in 1988, while Terror at 10 Killer came out in 1986. So, The Last Slumber Party to me is a very, very bad film. Bad acting. There are a lot of goofs in the movie. If you're looking for that sort of thing. And I don't think that these were purposely done goofs. I think they just happened. The movie opens up promisingly enough, in my opinion. And I told Steve when we did a commentary for it, I said, now, if the whole movie had been like this beginning part, it probably would have been a decent slasher movie. But instead, this is in my opinion, so bad it's good, little super low budget horror movie made in Louisiana. I would love to see, what Dirt, being as he lives in Louisiana, thinks of this little gem. Darky said HBO was great back then. Darky said, I tried talking my mom into Skinamax, but she wasn't having it. LOL, we only had one movie channel. Darren, you say, I love the last Slumber Party. Again, it's bad on every level, but so much fun. Yes, totally agree, Darren. You've never seen the last Slumber Party on Dirt? You say, okay, it's bad. Glad I missed it. It's bad, Dirt, but not so bad that you can't watch it and get some enjoyment out of it, I think. So that is the last Slumber Party, which brings us to the final film I want to talk about tonight. And I thought Steve had a copy of it, and I could not find it in time for this stream. and that is Doris Wishman's A Night to Dismember. I think Steve may have done a watch along for it on one of his streams. So Doris Wishman was a boon to humankind, and A Night to Dismember is her gospel. Vicki Kent, 80s porn star Samantha Fox, returns home after a stint in a mental institution. From there, this movie pretty much forgoes a genre of its own. The pace moves like a bullet, loosely throwing together erratic violence and dreamlike visuals with a collage aesthetic of early Guided by Voices record. Soundtrack cues comprised of jazzercise schlock, spooky library music, and wailing 80s shit rock overlap. Dialogue is dubbed in the Doris Wishman style, which means that we hear voices but don't see mouths moving, and the camera focuses on an ashtray. And all these things are true, guys. Every frame of this movie is a tiny masterpiece. Okay, so that is the completion of the trashy movies for Sunday Night Trash this week. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I didn't intend to be on here very long at all. And I think I think I fulfilled that. Um, I may stop in on the Dead Pit Boys to see what's going on with the fan commentary for Slaughter High, and see what's going on there and how much fun everybody's having there. Darren, says Steve got me into A Night to Dismember. It's like no other film I've ever seen or likely to see. Exactly, Darren. Texas, you want me to reread that bit about Guided by Voices? Oh, okay. Hold on here. Let me find it again. Give me just a second here. So, hold on. Let me find that again. Yeah, the pace moves like a bullet, loosely throwing together erratic violence and dreamlike visuals with the collage aesthetic of an early Guided by Voices record. So, I want to thank everybody for joining me tonight for this short and sweet Sunday Night Trash. Tomorrow night, and unfortunately, Uncle Bill will not be joining me for this next installment of the Twin Peaks live stream. But anybody and everybody that would like to join me on there for that tomorrow night, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, I'm going to be talking about the next 10 episodes of the original Twin Peaks series. So you guys can all look forward to that. And Wednesday, I don't know what I'll be doing. Eventually, TJ and I are going to be doing some live streams breaking down the episodes of Monsters. But TJ said I need to give him a couple of weeks to see if he could hunt up the episodes to watch. I have the whole series on DVD, which means I'm going to start watching those as soon as I can. Dirty said, great times, Dana. Imagine when we're in our 70s talking horror shit. Yeah, exactly. Texas, you say that's fucking hilarious. So let's see. Tuesday will be, barring anything going on with me and Kelly, Tuesday will be the third installment of the films of Hitchcock. So you guys can look forward to that. We'll be covering another 10 of Hitchcock's films. And, or I think it was 10 years, wasn't it? Yeah, I think that was more like it. So, be prepared for that. Wednesday, I don't know. I may have some kind of show for Wednesday. Thursday, I don't know. And Friday, probably not. And Saturday, of course, we'll be doing a watch along for Ghost House. So everybody's got all of that to look forward to. And again, I want to thank all of you guys for being in the chat with and hanging out with me for a little over an hour tonight. May see you guys on over on Dead Pit for the Slaughter High watch along. And on that note, I am going to skedaddle on out of here for the night, and I will see everyone on the flip side. Y'all have a good night now.